I basically say that I went from $7 to 7 figures in 12 months. And that was the journey of, of explosive growth. Before I even started hiring people, it was a one-man show. I was a solopreneur, so I used to follow remember the FIRE strategy, like financially independent, retire early. FIRE, like that was all my thing. I was like, oh man, I just want to be financially independent and retire early. The thing is, like, I didn't just start from like $7 to like 7 figures right away. Like, as I provided results, then they would sign up again and then get more trucks. In fact, you may have seen my trucks already and you just don't know. In order for me to find these clients, I realized that.
Welcome to another episode here at the Trailblazers Talk podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Ortega, and we are committed to creating content that inspires, motivates, and empowers you as an entrepreneur so you can continue to blaze your own trail to success. And in today's episode, you're going to learn from somebody who blazed a trail from 0 to over 7 figures in a business that you probably would never think is profitable. And here today, I have InstaChava. He is an entrepreneur. He is the CEO of InMotion Media. InMotion Group. InMotion Media Group. Cool, man. This guy here is definitely somebody you want to take notes on. Like, I always encourage this, but grab a notepad. If you're driving, make sure to rewatch this podcast. I always tell people those who take notes are those who take action, are those who actually win. Because you can't, information is key to success. And so, again, make sure you're taking notes because this podcast is definitely something you're going to learn something from that can make massive results. So, awesome. InstaChava, what's up, man? Welcome to the show.
My man, pound it. Thank you. You know, it's funny, like, most people recognize me or remember me because of InstaChava and, the backpack. So, really, what was created the business is the InMotion Media Group, like the mobile billboards. Which is, it's not, like you said, it's not one of those things where people are like, can you really make money putting advertising on trucks? About it. No, yeah. unless you're in the business, which is what I was doing, and we can get into how the idea started. But yeah, most people now recognize me, for my Instagram and for entrepreneurship. But at the core, the business that made the Instagram possible is the mobile billboards.
So that's really cool, actually, because there's so much success in businesses that you would never think, because everybody's like, go to the digital route, do all this, but you looked at something completely different, right? Like putting ads on trucks, that's traditional, right? Like that's not traditional. That's not sexy, but you made it something that so many people and businesses want. But I want to hear the story, man. Like, how did you even get to the point of building InMotion? Like, what was either a breakthrough moment or just what was that moment that inspired you to go into this business?
So, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's not sexy. Like, I didn't grow up and be like, one day I'm going to put ads on trucks. Like, this is I'm going to feed my family. This is what's going to, give us the lifestyle that I want to have. So I used to be buying billboards. So when you call it traditional, it's called like the out of home. It's an outdoor advertising model. Mm-hmm. So that includes your freeway billboards, your park benches, your buses, everything. But I lived in LA, and my job was to find the biggest billboards with the best, impressions. Because all the billboards are always taken by the big corporate brands. I'm always driving around 3, 4, 5 hours a day trying to find just one billboard that's open. Mm-hmm. So as you drive from here, you're moving forward, you'll start seeing that it's very rare where you actually see one billboard that's available, and then someone will snatch it right away. So in LA, with the heavy traffic, I was always stuck behind trucks. Mm. And then it just hit me. I was like, man, that's a white canvas right there. It's a 53-foot semi right in front of me, and you can't get away from it. Especially if you're in traffic, you can't get away from them. So then I started thinking about the benefits. I was like, if I put an ad on this truck, all these vehicles will see it. And as opposed to driving at 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, nobody sees your billboard on the freeway, but they will definitely see you if you're, on a 26-foot truck in front of you. So that's kind of how it started, with the idea of me trying to find a place for me to buy ads for the company that I was working for.
Wow. So you were working for an advertising company
I was working for a brand.
For a brand, okay.
I was working for a big brand, and so big budgets, millions of dollars of budgets in budgets, and so I'm always trying to find which brand is the one. I mean, which billboard is the one that's going to be the best investment.
So is InMotion your first business?
No, I've had I've had several failed businesses. I should say I learned in all of them a little bit. It was daunting, the one that I usually, there's two of them that just really resonate with me. One of them was about gratitude, and I started a business years ago. It was called, I would basically give out like gratitude rocks, and for every 5 rocks that I would sell, I would be able to feed a child. So I've been doing like, feed the children for many years since I was in college. So I wanted to find a way to donate. Do you remember Tom's Shoes?
Tom's, yeah.
He was the first one that made for-profit, 1-for-1. So he was the first company that was not a charity, that was a for-profit company, but that was donating. So you buy 1 pair of shoes, he would donate 1 pair of shoes.
Oh, wow.
And so on his trip to Argentina, he saw the kids were going barefoot to school. Mm-hmm. So he's like, I want to help these kids, but I don't want to become a charity in Argentina and all these people. So he established Tom's, created a for-profit company, and donated a pair of shoes for every shoe. And then Tom's, blew up to sunglasses and wear and, all this stuff. So then I was thinking, what can I do that can help a kid? And back then, it would take $20 to feed a child for a month. Mm-hmm. So I got these rocks from Brazil, and they're all very unique. And at one point, maybe I'll show you one, because they're very unique. And when I explain this, they're beautiful color, and in each rock is different. So it's unique to you. So I had 4 roommates at the time, or 3 roommates. There's 4 of us. And I said, if all 4 of us put in $5, you guys know we could feed a kid for a month. And they're all scratching their heads like, I'm serious. Like, would it change your life if you give me $5 a month? And they're like, no. And then at that point, I probably had 1,000 people on my Facebook. I was like, I bet you, like, out of those 1,000 friends that I have on my Facebook account, 990 are able to give me $5, and their life is not going to change. How many kids can we do from that? So then I went to Tom's headquarters, and I wanted to really understand the for-profit business model while giving at the same time. It's almost like a Groupon where you buy in, I would say in bulk or as a group, and collectively you help another person. So I call it collective buying power, kind of a ripoff of what Groupon used to have.
Right.
But in essence, I wanted to help other people, and that was one business that as it was taking off, I moved to LA, and then the lifestyle in LA took me in a different direction. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I got sort of seduced by LA, and so I went on a different path, and which we could probably go into that, but let's just say I didn't make the right choices for a while. That was one business, but it's always been. It's still in the back of my head. And I'm sure you read the book, The Secret, or at least heard of it, right? Yeah. The Law of Attraction. Mm-hmm. It's a worldwide bestseller book, but most people don't know that she wrote a sequel. She wrote Rhonda Bynes wrote a sequel to the book, and the sequel is called The Magic. And so The Magic has 21 chapters, and the 21 chapters are 21 things that you should do, I guess one thing you should do for 21 days to achieve the magic. And it's not a very known book as much as The Secret, but if you open it to chapter 1 of The Magic, it says grab a gratitude rock. And at this point, like, everything was coming together for me. I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is like a bestseller author in the world, and the first thing that she's saying to change your life is to have a gratitude rock. And that's what I used to call the eye rocks. I call them like eye rocks. Like, it's just a gratitude rock that you just put in your pocket to remind you that you're supposed to be grateful for something. And at the same time, you're helping, feed a kid somewhere else.
Oh, wow.
So that was one business, that it didn't flourish, but I remember, like, it was always about kind of helping. And the way it ties in with InMotion, anyone that right now works with us as a partner for InMotion Media Group and gets mobile billboards, portion of that goes straight directly to feeding children around the world. So we have dozens of kids that we now, feed it. And it's crazy because they send me their pictures, and I've seen them, from when they're like 5, 6 years old to now they're like, 10, 11 years old, and they change so much. Like, 5 years may not seem enough to us, but when you're a kid and you see their changes, and it's amazing. So I have a full room of like envelopes with pictures and letters from kids all over the world.
Wow, man.
But really is the people that are contributing to us that are helping us do that, like just on a bigger scale. And another business that I did was I used to sell drinks. Like those ice cream carts that people just sell ice cream on the street. Yeah. Well, I decked it out with like speakers and subwoofers, and I really would go down to Santa Monica and I push a cart down selling like water bottles that I would buy from Costco. Yeah. And man, that was a big hustle. That was I went to school. I had private university. I graduated with 2 degrees. I was cum laude. Like I had this higher degree education and the entrepreneurship in me. Here I am, like pushing ads of a 300-pound car down Santa Monica, trying to sell water, get eyes. That didn't last long. But man, you should see the videos on this thing, because this thing was cranking. Like I would turn off the volume and people could see it and they would come down, and it was loud to the point where I got the Santa Monica Police Department gave me like a fraction for noise complaint or something. Yeah. I mean, it looked like you were in a nightclub in this thing. It was super fun. So I was always trying to do different things, and I was always like in motion, and that idea came about later on with the mobile billboards, where somebody's delivering goods and services, in these trucks. Mm-hmm. There's literally millions of these mobile billboards, or I should call of trucks in the country, everywhere. But there's a very, very, very tiny limited amount of billboards in the United States that are available for purchase. So I always tell, when I'm presenting the opportunity to potential clients, I say, if you had all the money of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos combined, you'd only be able to get a fraction of freeway coverage, whereas these trucks are going, all around everywhere. There's no restrictions for them. Right. That's kind of how it started.
Man, that's interesting, man. I'm just curious. What did your actual environment look like when you started InMotion? Like, were you already successful? Like, did you start with money? Did you, like, when you started this business, what did it look like for you?
I had been working for, like I said, I had the higher education. I've been working. I've been saving some money. I've attended a couple of Tony Robbins seminars. So I was doing okay. I believe I was making maybe a little over 6 figures at the time, a year, which is, it's pretty good. It's great. It's great. Like I'm doing 6 figures in the year, and I had some money saved up. So when I started this business, like I figured, you know what, like I'm just gonna go all in on this opportunity. Things change in the company and in the business, and I started just basically betting on myself. And then my savings started going down, from $100,000 to $75,000. And, at that point you start realizing, okay, well, maybe this is not a great idea. And then 75 to 50,000. Right. And then, most normal people, if they're averse to risk, they would be like, okay, let's find a job. Right. But I didn't. I wanted to continue doing this. And so then it goes to 30,000, 10,000. At that point, like, okay, I'm going down with the ship, like a stubborn captain. And so I took not just my savings, but basically all my net worth that I had down to under $10, so about $7 and change. Wow. And then this was during the time of how COVID like transition. So when I decided to go all in on InMotion, I got an office and I paid for it in advance for 6 months. This was March 1st of 2020. So I think we all know what happened, in March in 2020. The world like shut down. So 2 weeks later, I remember going into our office and the entire office was boarded up. Like It was shut down. So in advance, there was nothing. And there was this place that would sell burgers, like a block down the street from our house. And they had this like neon sign. It said like lunch combo for $8. And I used to tell my girlfriend at the time, one day I'm going to be able to afford taking you there. Because I had less than $8. And I can laugh at it now, but it's really difficult when you're like in that level of like stress. So I wanted to borrow money from my friends. I called all coworkers. I was, I had this great idea, but nobody supported me. Wow. And I would just say, if you lend me like $50,000, like I will get you $5,000, in commit. I'll pay you back 55 in the next 30 days. Like, you'll make 10% in 1 month. That's 120% return annually. And nobody, believed me. And then when it went down to $7, then my last Hail Mary, I went up to a group of investors. They're really more like sharks. I mean, that's really what it is, in Newport. And they decided to buy out the company and my contracts. And so they gave me this contract. And I remember it was like 16 pages. And basically, they would now own the company. I would become an employee. And they would, every money that would come in, they would get paid. And then whatever was left over, they would give me a portion of it. So not only was I not being the owner of the business, I was going to be an employee and a minority employee of this business. But I had nothing. I had $7 and a girl and a dog in my apartment and my mom living on my couch because it was COVID. So I signed it, and I went to, I got on my knees that night and I prayed, and, I prayed to God for the right decision and the move. And the next day in the mail came my first check, and it was for $247,500.
And that was from that group?
No, that was from a client.
Wow.
Yeah.
$200,000.
$247,500. I have the check. It's
okay.
It's framed in my house.
Did you go through with that? I'm assuming you didn't go through with that.
No, so the contract, I had signed it, but I didn't email it. Like, I laid it on the table, and I went into my room and I prayed. I remember getting on my knees and praying to God, like, this is the right move, like, to just, and I didn't send it. And the next day, a check comes in from a client, and it changed completely our lives.
Man, God is good. That's so.
God is great.
Man, that's amazing. So
yeah.
The power of prayer. I think, I just want to touch on this, man, because as a believer and as an entrepreneur, the power of prayer is beyond anything I've seen.
It's my greatest asset. It's like my ace of spade.
Yeah.
And people don't see how great it works, and how good it is, and how much. See, okay, so you could be seeing it like, or someone could be watching me like, oh, well, that guy made $250,000, but it's not that guy made $250,000. Also, that was not all profit.
Yeah.
It's what I was able to do with that money. It's how I can help other people. It's how now my mom of 72, like, she's now retired, and I can put her, is helping these kids around the world. It's me seeing these pictures, these frames. Is me getting letters. Is me being able to employ other people. It's me seeing my employees have children and benefits. And do you understand? Like, prayer goes beyond just what my financial gain was at that time. It really blesses everybody it touches. It's the greatest thing about love. Where the more you give is the more you have. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think Tony Robbins says, the purpose of life is to give.
Yeah, the purpose of living is giving.
Yeah, the purpose
so
of living
I have
is
that
giving.
on a pen written because I went to the Tony Robbins seminar.
Yeah.
And it is true. The purpose of living is giving. And then there's another book called A Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. It's a great.
Who sold his? I've never heard of that.
It's a great, fantastic book. It's about a lawyer, big shot lawyer, who then has a heart attack because he's living the luxurious, indulgent life. And then he goes to Tibet and becomes a monk, and then comes back and is a different person. And then he talks to another guy in the law firm. This is what I learned. But there's a line in the book that the purpose of life is to live with purpose. And so it's almost like a plain words, but that is the purpose of our lives, is to give meaning, to have purpose.
Yeah.
And one of my good friends, he had a baby boy, and he asked me to say words for him. And I remember, like, that's the first thing that came to my mind. Like, you're just a baby and you may not get it, but that's what came to mind. Live a life of purpose.
Yeah,
that is the purpose of life.
I love that. So let's take us back to that moment where you get a $250,000 check in the mail.
It's amazing. So I've never seen that much money. I mean, if the average salary of an American, person is $60,000, I mean, that's 4 years worth of money in one check. And I remember, like, I saw it, I sat down, and I remember, like, shredding that contract that was on my table. Those 16 pages that were signed, like, I had signed them, and I had put them on the table. And at some point, I should make a video of all of this because I've documented all of this stuff. I've been documenting my idea of the trucks. I documented the losing of the money. I documented the office getting boarded up. I documented like I'm getting this office for 6 months. Then COVID happened. I documented the $8 sign, the $8 combo, like all this stuff. Like I have it documented, and I physically have the check that was sent to me. So I remember shredding it. I remember taking pictures of the table with the contract. But I remember filming my girlfriend because I put the check back in the envelope and I left it on the table. So I filmed her reaction when she opened up a check. Wow. Or a letter. Like I didn't even tell her what it is. I was like, hey, listen, I think I think things are gonna change. And I she's sitting down, and I remember when she opened it, and I remember she's looking by the check and looking back at me, and her jaw just dropped. Like it's hard to comprehend.
Yeah.
And our lives changed, but it's not like I went out and I bought like an extravagant car or luxury. Like we still lived in the 1-bedroom apartment. The first thing that I bought with $250,000 was that $8 burger. That's I took awesome. Her there. I took her there with a check, and we have a picture. And if you see me, in fact, I don't know if I'll send your editor, but I'll send you pictures of me now, and I'll send you a picture of when I'm eating that burger, and you'll see like that guy looks rough, like he is stressed the F out, like I look like I haven't been eating in months, like it's just like white and like skinny and like long hair. It's just like I look like I'm on crack, man. Wow. But it was just like the pressure of building it up. Now I'm just balling.
Yeah, man.
I'm all in, baby.
I feel because I've been through moments like that too, man. And people think like being an entrepreneur is glamorous and every day is an amazing day and you're super profitable really quickly and you can't take any risks. Like I feel that stories like this is way more probable than getting rich overnight and everything working out. Like being at the point of breakdown is probably going to happen to more people than, having something work really quickly. What would you say to someone who is going through something similar? Maybe they invested a whole lot into their business. It's just not working out and they're just financially struggling, but they're motivated. What would you say to them?
So when I'm asked sort of like what is the main characteristic, to attributing that my success or what I've done, I always say it's resilience. Like it takes certain individuals to go through what I went through, what you've probably gone through, and what many other people are going through. But it takes an even smaller set of individuals to still go beyond that. Like most people go through shit in their lives, but then when they find an opportunity, they go for it. So I had education and I had previous jobs and I had a career. So I could have gone on LinkedIn and started applying to jobs and then taking something else just in the meantime. If I would have gone fear to be over faith. And so I had faith in the business. I had faith in the product. I had faith that we could serve, a purpose. And and of course I had faith in God, and so that was at the end. Like in the end, like if everything falls apart, He's with me. So getting on my knees and saying, your will, not mine. If I need to be an employee to get humility from this company, then that's what's gonna happen. But no, I think in other aspects, you also have to count the risk factor. That was my case. A single guy in his early 30s, or when I started this. If you're married, if you're kids, going down to $7 may not be the smart way to go, right? So every individual person who's watching this should really value where their life is right now, how much risk they're willing to take. And if you're young, if you're in your 18s, 19, 20, 25, and you're hustling, like by all means, go for it. If you're, if you have other things that, you got to pay for your kids' school and different things. And I never started InMotion without having like some sort of income at first. Like I work my 9 to 5, my 50, 60 hours a week. And then I grinded, from like 8 to midnight. You know, my girl would fall asleep on my lap because I would be on my laptop creating a website, doing marketing decks, pitching to clients, but I didn't have anything yet.
Right.
So, I had to grind and hustle.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the truth. And I feel, all of the late nights do attribute to that success. I mean, you didn't see the money yet, but it's like going to the gym. It's like working out, grinding really hard at the gym. One day you're just going to feel it. Like, I know you prayed and God was like, all right, let me take care of you now. But all that work led to that mailbox money, right? Correct. All of those late nights and not being able to live the life you wanted led to that. And I feel, again, like entrepreneurship at its core, if you don't know how to win in the beginning, to learn how to win takes pain, takes time, takes consistency and discipline, and like the grind. That's why they call it the grind. Like if you see coffee beans get grinded, it looks painful, bro.
It's pressure.
It's pressure. It's like it turns from a whole bean to powder.
Mm-hmm.
And then that powder turns into coffee. Like if you look at a process of manufacturing, it's not beautiful. And I feel like that's what success at its core is. Like you're going to have to feel this. Like Eric Thomas is famous for saying like, diamonds are created under pressure. Mm-hmm. If you look at how a diamond is made, it's equivalent to the journey to success.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian Tracy talks about failure as a prerequisite to success. I failed 16 times there for my 17th business. Yeah. That's actually on average what a millionaire, they've failed 16 times previously to being a millionaire. And if I think back of everything that I've done in entrepreneurship and business on the side, like it's probably around there, like 12, 13 perhaps, before like actually, InMotion sort of like took over.
Yeah.
And it really has changed my life, but it's really changed. I was talking about this yesterday. Like what money does is that it gives you opportunities. At the bottom line, that's what it is. If you have $10 in your bank account right now and you want to go grab lunch, there's a very limited options that will take those $10. You can go to certain places. You can go to your McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King. Right. If you have $25, now you can expand, to maybe P.F. Chang's, just other chains, your Chipotle, maybe other bigger. Now, if you have $100, now you have more options where you can eat. Mm-hmm. See, what money does is that it gives you options. It gives you options and opportunities for different things. The same thing goes with a car. You got $25,000, you have a limited number of cars that you can afford. You have 50 grand, you can get more cars. You have $250,000, you still can't afford, a Bugatti or a Rolls Royce. So the more you expand on money, the more options you're going to get. So it doesn't really buy the happiness. It just buys more options.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing is like, it depends on your perspective of money, right? Like some people are like, money doesn't buy happiness, but if living in a nice home makes you happy, if traveling makes you happy, if eating right makes you happy, that's all takes money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But see, living that house is an option that you can only get with
100%,
more money.
100%.
So it just expands your options. And all those things that you said, like traveling, well, that expands your options.
100%.
Like you can have money, but maybe you have enough money only to go to Utah or LA. But if you have more money, you can go to Europe. You can go to Dubai.
Right.
Like it just expands the options of whatever it is that you're trying to get.
Right. So I'm curious, man, like what did you do to actually, because I've heard from sources, InMotion's like a 7+ figure company. Like how did you, from that moment you received that mailbox check of 240 something thousand, what did you do? Like for people listening, like how could they build a 7-figure company? What did you do to build this into a 7-figure company?
Got it. So yeah, I basically say that I went from $7 to 7 figures in 12 months, and that was the journey of of explosive growth. Now, before I even started hiring people and the office and everything else, like it was a one-man show. I was a solopreneur, so I used to follow remember the FIRE strategy, like financially independent, retire early, FIRE, like that was all my thing. I was like, oh man, I just want to be financially independent and retire early, and I was trying to save everything up, and how was I able to grow it? The thing is, like, I didn't just start from like $7 to like, seven figures right away. Like the clients started coming in, and as I provided results, then they would sign up again and then get more trucks. And so here's the thing about, the beauty about mobile billboards is that some services you can only sell them once. I don't know, let's think like solar panels or a car or I don't know, house, whatever it is, some services you're only going to sell it once to that person. Dental. For trucks, I can sell 10 trucks to one client. I can sell 20 trucks to one client. See, if I'm trying to sell, a social media package, a video editing, you can't sell 5 video editing packages to the same person unless that person has 5, clients or 5 accounts or whatever. So this is how this particular model can be scalable to really infinite. So now that I have access to 100,000 plus trucks across the country in all 50 states, then anyone and everybody could potentially be a client. So I could have clients that could be dentists, I have clients that could be lawyers, I could have clients that are in solar, I could have clients that are beverages, influencers, anything. Anyone that wants to advertise anything anywhere. So my total addressable market, my TAM is basically quasi infinite. Anyone who wants to advertise.
Wow.
Sneakers, shoes, beverages.
So are you saying
bank,
like
Geico,
your 7-figure revenue didn't come from hundreds of clients? It came from very few that you
Correct.
were able to
Scale.
upsell and to grow. And
I have
retain.
very few clients, and we
Yeah.
just continue to grow. Very few clients, and so we expanded services. So at first, it was just one product. I was a one-man guy. I was a one-man guy, think about like, I have to showcase that these trucks have been installed, printed, that are driving, that are going. So I had to get people to print a 53-foot banner. So you have to understand also the logistics of how crazy that is. Like a 53-foot banner, it's enormous, but each truck needs 2 of those, and they're 53 by 8. They're heavy. Like, where am I going to put these banners? Who's going to install them? You need framing systems around the trucks. So there's a lot of things that went into it that I wasn't even prepared. Like, my goal was to get like 3 trucks in a year. If I make 3 trucks, 4 trucks, if I can make $1,000, $2,000 extra a month, whatever it is, if I can do it and I multiply that by 12 months, I said, if I can make $15,000 to $20,000 more a year, I'm golden. That's my ticket. Well, my first client asked for 20 trucks. I don't even have 20 trucks. Like I don't. I have 5. So I don't even have the inventory that they're already requesting on my very first client. So the learning pains of massive growth at the beginning, and me getting in my car, following a truck, taking a picture with my phone, getting out, chasing it after the freeway. I mean, I wish there was a documentary on my life on InMotion the first year.
Yeah.
Where my hair is just like long and growing, and I'm just like, imagine you're zipping through the freeways in LA and just filming a truck and nobody knows why, and people are honking behind you and it's crazy, and then you have to stop, get on top of a bridge, get the shot from over the top, and get back in the car, chase that truck again.
That's
and then
crazy.
that first year was just me like doing nothing, and then edit the picture, send them out to the client, and do they like this, do they not? Like it was all learning lessons for a year.
Yeah.
And then, I hired my first employee, and then the business, it just changed. Like there's so much that that was not my thing, like marketing and editing and just different things and just equipment. And later on, shout out to JC. JC he's so multi, knowledge. He can use the computer, but he can also use, fly a drone, but he can also edit, but he can also do marketing. Like he's so knowledgeable on so many things. So I was like, hey, do you want to come into as the marketing manager for InMotion? And he's like, what's that? Obviously. And I should preface, like, I did everything in between. Like, I was driving Uber. Like I said, I was selling water on the street. Like,
Yeah.
I have 200,000 degree education from a private university that I was given scholarships to because of, just good, I was just good in school. And now I'm coming out and I'm slinging water on the street, and it's just, it was a big thing for someone to be like, don't you have this? Like, why are you doing this over here? But finally, JC comes in on board. I'm driving Uber. He was doing the same thing as well, I think. And and DJing and real estate, and I was like, leave all that shit. So I was like, if I'm all in, you have to be all in. If I'm all in, you're not doing real estate anymore. You're cutting the DJ gigs out, and you're not driving this anymore. Like, you and I are gonna start this company. We're gonna grow it, and I want to thank him the moment that he agreed to say, okay, I'm all in. Like, I believe we can do this, and we did. And when he came in, like, the company grew 100% the next year.
That's dope. So, what was like the growth from like being by yourself to then having someone help you, like? In terms of revenue, what was the difference?
I mean, 100%. So, I mean, the company grew and grew. So, I mean, we can do math. So, like, if in 12 months it went from $7 to 7 figures, I was doing like $500,000 in the first year, and then it grew to over $1 million, by the 12 months, basically, in more contracts. It was fast. It was fast, and the thing is, like, we expanded the product line. Mm-hmm. So we started with one massive 53-foot truck just in, let's say, California. We wanted to focus that. Once we dominated that they're like, okay, our clients were like, well, we want to have the trucks in Santa Monica. We want to have them here. Like, well, those big trucks can't go into Santa Monica. There's restrictions. Department of Transportation, won't allow you, and the weight restrictions and all that. So then we're like, let's find a 26-foot truck, that U-Haul size, that perfect, and then we connected with, basically someone who's been in 3 generations of trucks, so the largest fleet of 26-foot trucks under the network. So then we connected with them, and then we got connected with someone in LED trucks. So now we offer all 3. We cover all 3 gamuts on the mobile billboards.
And all that growth happened in 1 year?
No, now that's happened probably in the last few years. But But the first year was me on my own. Second year, was with JC. Third year now it's more employees. Then we moved to Las Vegas. Then we offer more products, and then eventually InMotion, it really is in the name, like InMotion Media Group. Like, we're not in static. Like, we're always moving. We're always creating new concepts. We're creating new services. How can we best help? So now it's a 3-tiered where you can do outdoor advertising, but now we also do a digital component, and we also do social media. So our clients, we can help them in their social media growth. Wow. We can help them grow their account, their engagement, their exposure, everything that you need for growth in social media. We can do it, and that is for a certain client, right? That's
so, like, one thing I just want to like put to surface, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs watching this asking themselves, like, how could I experience Chava's level of growth in my business? And like, what I'm hearing here is like, you're just building your reputation and retention with one customer. Like, you're asking yourself, how much more value can I make to this one customer? Because you're not, obviously you are focused on other growth opportunities for your business, but what it sounds like is like, over the last few years, you develop new income streams within one.
That's correct.
Customer.
So retention to me is more important than acquiring like new one. Retention builds up more trust.
Yeah.
Not only that, if you offer multiple services to a client, then they're less likely to remove you from your services. You become, less expendable, and at the same time, less force of entry for them to find like 3, 4, 5 different agencies that, do you have an agency that does your video? Do you have an agency that does your production? Do you have an agency for social media growth? Do you have an agency for billboards? Like, it's all InMotion. InMotion can do all that. And now we have a specific person spearheading each portion of the business, a social, a digital, and a mobile billboard. Now, for anyone who is watching this, the opportunity for InMotion is basically, when I say unlimited, I mean it, where all you need to do is, and I give you, these are real life examples, like people have introduced us to who ended up being clients of ours, and just based on introduction, and they made an enormous amount of money. And so I'll start with, I don't have one with me, like, but I usually, I'm repping your hat today, but I usually either have my InstaChava hat with the green lucky leaf. I was born on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. And
that's why your colors are green.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But I also have like an InMotion hat. So I have a really, flamboyant Tesla that changes from purple to like kind of orange, the colors. But those are the colors of the InMotion business. So I wrapped it in the InMotion colors so that I could, so that it could be an InMotion expense for the business. It literally is wrapped in it. And in the back of the car, it said InMotion Media Group. So a person just randomly saw me with a hat, had seen my car in the past and said, hey, are you the owner of that, purple Tesla that I've seen? And I was like, yeah, how'd you know? He's like, well, your hat and I've seen the back of your car. And that led to a conversation, shaking hands. A couple months later, I closed a $250,000 deal out of that. And it was like amazing, this $25 hat made me $250,000.
Yeah.
That's one of my most popular videos.
People overlook branding, man.
Absolutely.
On what you wear and what you drive and all that.
And so I was like, I was like, listen, like you develop the trust and the relationship with this client.
Yeah.
I just came in, and in 5 minutes, told them about the opportunity. I'm saying 5 minutes, but it took, whatever, a month or two. But, for a $250,000, I'll wait a month for a hat. I mean, that's the best return on my investment. So that person, made a 10% commission of $25,000 just by one email and one introduction. That's all they had to do. And then there's another, on our, basically on an affiliate network where if you know somebody who's in the media, or if you work for a brand, or if anybody watching knows someone who works for any corporate brand, think about anything. It could be your Geico's, your State Farms, your insurance. It could be banking. It could be Chase, Bank of America. It could be shoes, Skechers, Adidas, any brand. It could be whatever brand that you know. If you know somebody who's buying billboards and advertising and media, or you are that person, you can literally connect with us. And the benefit of InMotion, how we structure, is that you don't just get, a commission like with a realtor. A realtor sells a house, you get your 3% and that's it.
Right.
That realtor doesn't get 3% again next year and 3% the next month and whatnot. It's reoccurring.
Yeah.
So as long as I am retaining, and this is why, to me, the importance of retaining that client, I will continue honoring that commission. So then a person that's making, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 commission a month out of basically giving our services or recommending our services to somebody could then be like, I really have to do nothing.
Yeah.
They're doing all the work. They're doing the production. They're doing the editing. They're doing the installation. They deal with the client acquisition, everything.
It's pretty much just high ticket sales through like affiliates.
Exactly, but very at a very high level.
How many affiliates do you have doing this for you?
There's several that I've tried, and I'll just say this: like some of them, they just say, "Oh, I know so and so," and I go through the whole process and I interview them, and then they just fall flat. Like, but then there's some of them like that one person. They're like, "Oh, here's that email. Here's this. Boom." They didn't make much of it. Just made an intro email, and it came through, and it happened. So when they see the opportunity that I say you can make $2,000 to $5,000 a month per client, you can have 3 clients. That's $15,000 a month that I'll just wire you every month times 12. And if they renew the next year, you can still add them up. Then everybody's eyes open up. Oh, well, I know this. But the reality is that there is somebody that's buying those billboards. Think about every time you drive outside, somebody is buying these billboards. Someone is paying a lot of money for these billboards. And I just need to get to those people. And so in order for me to start fishing out, this is where I transition into a public persona. And that's when I started, the InstaChava account.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because, I think this is a really good transition to the podcast. And thank you for sharing that opportunity. Look, guys, there will be a special link under this podcast if you want to get a billboard for yourself in these trucks. If you want to become an affiliate, you're going to be able to do that and get some bonuses because you're a part of the Trailblazers Talk Network. So make sure to look at the links under this YouTube video or under the Spotify show notes. There will be a special link for you to tap in with Chava. But going into this transition here, personal branding was something that you never even thought of. And Joey, can we get this backpack real quick on B-roll? This backpack right here, you don't see in this camera, but hopefully the director could do something special in this transition right here. But this backpack actually allowed you to get into personal branding. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Okay.
So, the idea of finding a high ticket brand or a client, because usually our best clients are our beverages, our products, brands that you won't necessarily need to research. You usually know who you are. In fact, you may have seen my trucks already and you just don't know. Like if you see a Coca-Cola truck, wouldn't you assume that the truck is carrying Coca-Cola?
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And so, the same goes like if you see, a Coors Light truck, or if you see a product, beverage, like if you see a Target truck, you think it's got Target products. Right? That's what the natural consumer assumes. But the reality is that some of these big brands, they pay us to put their ads on these other trucks so that they look bigger than they are. So this is huge. This is huge for a brand that's launching. This is huge opportunity for a brand that wants to compete and differentiate against the big players. Like if you're a new beverage company or one of those new seltzers and you're trying to compete with, let's say, with a White Claw that's dominating a market, or if you're a new energy drink and you want to compete with a Red Bull or a Monster, how are you going to do that? Well, that's where they hire us, and they place their advertising on these semis all over, and they just makes them look a lot bigger than they are. So in order for me to find these clients, I realized that like personal branding is where it's at. So this is where I started investing a lot in myself. So I go to a lot of seminars. I have a lot of coaches. I hired a lot of coaches for basically social media growth. I went to YouTube conferences. And this is how it started. I was taking my backpack, and I used to take pictures of people, and then I can put their picture if they're distracted at the conference, picking their nose, doing whatever, and then I'll put it on the backpack.
Really?
And then
I would put a full picture on this backpack.
Yeah, and I could put it, and so then I would walk with them. And then they would see themselves on my backpack, and they'd be like, "What the hell?" And I would just film that people's reactions.
Bro, that's smart.
And so I was like, "Oh, that's genius." And so I started going to these conferences where these big people would talk, and we started with like, let's say, Ryan Pineda and other people, but then I got Patrick Bet-David, and then I took a picture of Patrick Bet-David, and then I put it on my backpack, and then Patrick Bet-David saw himself on the backpack. He's like, "Huh," and so then now he's taking a picture of me with our picture on our backpack.
Yeah.
And when they're posting that, like, I'm getting access to their massive audience.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, oh shit, like, I should go to like TikTok and YouTuber conventions, because those are the guys that go viral. So I started taking pictures with people that they're just in the millions of followers that I don't even know who they were, but I knew they were big.
Yeah.
And then I would start taking pictures with them, put them on the backpack, and then they would take a picture of themselves on the backpack.
This backpack built your network
amazingly. So this has been like the sort of like the catalyst to started growing the brand and everything. And by the way, you after much debated, and so many people have asking me, like, you can actually get this backpack. I'll just as the ledbackpack.com. That's really what it is. So if even in fact, I'll do it like a code for you. So like we'll put like a Trailblazers code, and we'll make sure that anyone who's watching this and they go through that and they can put that code, and you'll see the referral. But the ledbackpack.com. If I talked about the hat, making me money, this backpack that originally I paid like $399 for it has made me well over six figures in business.
Wow.
Every time I go anywhere, I get followers. And then followers are like, what's going on? I drive on the airport. I go to 20 to 25 conferences a year. Last time I was coming from Miami, I literally just filmed a podcast with someone there. And in the airport, someone tagged me. He's like, hey, is this you? I was like, yeah. I'm like, oh, what do you do? I was like, I grow social media accounts. I do billboards. He's like, I have a solar. Can you help me? Boom.
Wow.
Just by walking, you can get, referrals. So if you don't have access to the trucks and anything, which I'm giving you the access to all my network and everything, production, installation. We're an award-winning company. Like, you have the backing. Like, we're giving you everything. If anyone has, a referral that we can go through your link, the backpack is the easy entrance to that. Like, go to the ledbackpack.com, order yourself one, put your logo, put your Instagram, start networking. Fuck the name badge, just wear your backpack. And it actually is a backpack that is highly functional. It's padded. I mean, it's all made for functionality for me who travel.
Yeah.
Padded for the laptop. It's got multiple pockets. Got secret pockets on the side. Things for the wallet, for cards. I mean, I carry everything in it in my backpack. So
cool,
it's very, very cool.
I like how modern and simplistic it looks too.
Yeah.
So you started going to like networking events and like seminars. Do you feel like that's the best way to build your personal brand is to go to all these events?
I do. Like for me, like for my brand, which is showy, movement, in the backpack I can put video. So people
Oh, you can play a video on this.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it really catches on like on the things that you can do, and I'm just trying to help people grow. And a lot of people are like, I sell insurance. I really can differentiate. I'm not as fun. I was like, listen, just wear this freaking backpack, to and walk down. If you're in Las Vegas, walk down the strip. Somebody will stop you. They'll ask you, where'd you got that backpack? And they'll ask for your business. What do you do?
Yeah.
Oh, I sell insurance. Oh, I sell cars. Oh, I sell whatever, X, Y, and Z. It is the best thing. And these conferences that I attend, I myself spend over, 6 figures every year, well over 6 figures now in conferences. I mean, the company's, making well over, millions of dollars now.
But do you feel like there's a really good return on these conferences?
Yes, and here's the thing on the financial return versus the personal. See, no one can take away the skills or the network that I'm going to meet. And if I just tie in, I went to this one conference. I sold 3 accounts at $5,000 each. I made $15,000. I spent $5,000 for the ticket. I made 3x of my investment. That's really short-minded. What I want to know is like, okay, in that month, who else am I going to connect? And I have a great story on that. 6 months ago, I met a guy at a conference, and Brad Lee was there, and just other different people. And this kid actually had like the hashtag, I think like dropping bombs or bomb, like some like not the hashtag, the actual account handle. Mm-hmm. And he was telling me, he's like, I'm gonna sell it to like Brad Lee. I'm gonna make all this money and whatever. I was like, I never met this guy ever before. I said, listen, this is just my personal advice. Instead of you trying to extort money out of this like really efficient guy, why don't you invite him to your podcast and then say you'll give him as a gift the handle. And this is going to blow you up. You know how many doors he's going to open? And sure enough, he did. Yeah. His account freaking blew up. And I never saw the guy again. 6 months later, I'm having coffee. I'm getting fucking coffee with my backpack, and I just hear InstaChava, and I turn around, and it's that kid from 6 months before that I saw in a conference. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, hey man, how's it going? And within 48 hours, I was basically filming podcasts in homes, in multi-million-dollar homes of people that are here in Las Vegas that are just like, they have a Formula One vehicle in their garage. There's like incredible. I was like, how did I end up from here to here? I was just having coffee yesterday, this backpack, and the power of networking. Now, if I had calculated my return on my investment from that conference 6 months ago on just how many deals I closed, then I wouldn't be counting the connection I made with this guy. I wouldn't be counting now having access to a 9-figure individual who's now coaching me to grow my other businesses. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like it's investing in yourself.
100%. I want to add to that because I think the difference between a 6-figure person and a 7-8-figure person is a 6-figure person looks at return on investment, and a 7-8-figure person looks at return on relationships.
That's right.
I think that's the biggest difference because if you really look at where spikes of revenue come from, it all, like for me, if I go from like 50 to 100 grand in terms of like just transactions with different clients, it's because I met somebody that introduced me to this person, and from that person, these clients came in every single time.
That's it.
And I feel like every entrepreneur listening, look, it's not, I'll be honest, it's not cheap to go to the events that Chava's going to. It's not.
Tickets.
It's pretty pricey for the average person. It's more than their rent. But the reality is, if you meet one person, like there's a famous saying, it's like you're 3 feet away from gold, and I always say like you're one person away from gold. Like
you're one handshake away from 100%. Changing your life. And if you're broke, if you're just starting, if you're just watching YouTube things to learn, just investing the time that takes to go through this entire podcast, you're already ahead of the curve. You're in the 1% already. You have a mentality that's willing to go and sit down and actually learn from 2 people that you may or may not know in person. And the simplest way of entry is shaking hands. So you can buy the lowest ticket at some of these conferences. You can get creative and and get a backpack like this and just start shaking hands. And then someone might just be the right person that says, you know what? Then the next year you buy the gold ticket, and then maybe eventually you'll end in the platinum, and then you're still working your way up. But it does start with you showing up. And I'll be honest, I've crashed conferences, man. Like I've crashed where I was like, you know, I don't want to pay $5,000 to be at this conference. I'm just gonna be in the lobby, hang out with people, have drinks. Somebody's gonna stop me with my backpack.
That works too.
Somebody's gonna stop me. Like there's zero chance that won't happen. Anywhere and everywhere that I go, I'll get stopped because of the backpack.
Man, that's so good. You've definitely taken personal branding to the next level with this backpack, man. And we're actually coming up to the tail end of this podcast, which I really do. I mean, this podcast was really good, and I really appreciate everything you shared on here. One of the questions I always ask at the end is, God forbid this happening, knock on wood, but like if your entire existence, I mean, everything about you is completely eliminated, like zapped, boom, gone. Like you can't Google you. You're no longer here. Everything you've done is gone. People's memories of you, gone.
Oh, that's sad.
But here's the thing. You have a piece of paper you can write one line on that is framed in the Hall of Heroes for the rest of eternity. What would you write on that piece of paper?
About myself, or just in general for people to see?
It's literally like everything about you is gone, and you have an opportunity to leave one thing behind that's written on a piece of paper. What would you say on that piece of paper?
I would say the best is yet to come. I like hope. And a lot of people are hopeless right now. So if you just say the best is yet to come wherever you are, I think they'll be okay with that message.
Man, that's good. And I feel like that's definitely something that if someone sees it when they don't have hope, it just like it creates more hope. I feel like as corny as like, hey, be positive, or just as corny as that sound, it has so much weight. If someone is going through something and they see a t-shirt that says, just keep believing, it changes their paradigm.
My favorite movie is Shawshank Redemption. By the way, I grew up in Mexico. I moved to the U.S. when I was 16. I learned English watching Seinfeld and a bunch of movies.
That's crazy.
So I always try to think like what I can reference. But Shawshank Redemption is my favorite movie. Have you ever seen it?
Mm-mm.
It's an amazing movie. Listen, I'm a spoiler alert. You know, it's been 30 years or 20 years. You haven't seen it, like. But anyways, it's Morgan Freeman's like what made Morgan Freeman and his voice as narrator or whatnot. But guys in prison, whatever, and they both have lifetime sentences. And Morgan Freeman's character says like, you know, you gotta get rid of hope. You know, hope kills people. There's no room in hope, you know, in these walls. That's his persona. That's his character. And then his friend, one of the guys who is actually able to leave the walls of the prison, when it ends, he says, and remember, hope is a wonderful thing. And that's just, they both lived in the same place, in the same shitty conditions, with the same poor treatment, but one of them had hope and one of them didn't.
And the one who had hope
is the one who lived happy.
Man, that's so good. Man, I appreciate you sharing that. And for everyone listening in, I always say this in every podcast. When you're around when you're in proximity with greatness, with people who are doing great things, it increases your probability of doing great things. And so make sure you tap in with InstaChava, you follow him, you connect with him. All the links to do and to be a part of what he has going on will be right under this. And man, I'm just so grateful for your time. I'm so grateful for your wisdom here, and also the opportunities that you're sharing with the people that's watching this. I mean, you've given so much here, which you said in the beginning, the purpose of living is giving, and you definitely gave on this podcast, man. So I appreciate
you, my man.
Yeah,
this is great. Boom. There we go.